Shall the short title carry? Oh, no. Oh,
Whoa.
we have to discuss the short title.
Yes.
Is it the length of the title we're objecting to?
Well, I actually made some notes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, actually, we'll go to Mr. Marston on the short title.
You know, when we listen to this short title, when you hear it, jobs, growth, long-term prosperity, on the face of that, you know, we would all just sit here and say, you know, look, if this was real, if this delivered. But there's huge, huge questions about this. And you've heard them from this side repeatedly, how Bill C-38 goes well beyond tax and monetary measures. It makes major changes in dozens of policy areas, including the environment, natural resources, human resources. They shouldn't have been resident in a finance committee. We've been clear. We should not have been asked to vote on legislation that grants Cabinet the power to make far-reaching regulatory changes, as we've seen included in this bill. 400 pages. And we've had the discussion back and forth. Yes, there's been larger bills, not with the comprehensiveness that this has had. You know, and I want everybody who happens to be watching, I mean, at this time, I'm sure we have thousands of people watching. Well, you know, this is scintillating. This is scintillating. But I just want to remind people, there's another bill to come in the fall. So if you say this, when you take those bills together in the context of what they're trying to do, so what is it about the bill that causes us to question the short title? First, the environmental overhaul. Doesn't belong in a budget bill. The government wants a one project, one review environmental assessment system. So it's repealing the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act and replacing it with the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act 2012. That type of decision does not belong with this committee. Yes, the chair and others granted us a subcommittee to look at it, but it didn't belong here. You know, it sets out time limits for the completion of reviews, and the minister will have the power to shut down a review panel if he thinks it won't finish on time. How can you say that that belongs in a budget bill? The type of decisions, this type of decision in particular, the due diligence that's supplied by comprehensive experts who are from the environment field. It's not in jobs and prosperity, you know, jobs, growth, and long-term prosperity. That's not a part of it. That has to do with our environment. You know, the due diligence, again, when it comes to employment insurance reform. You've got a definition of suitable work that's been controversial. Doesn't belong with the Finance Committee. It clearly belongs with the Human Resources Committee because they're going to have to wrestle with this. So again, that's one of the reasons that we're not satisfied with this short-term title. You know, and the budget doesn't give any details on the criteria that will be used in that particular term. And how does the decision on removing oversight for the Auditor General belong here? The Auditor General will no longer be required to do annual audits, as we've seen listed here in 12 agencies: social sciences, humanities research council, the natural sciences engineering research council, and the Northern Pipeline Agency. How does that belong here? How does that fit into the definition of the title that's been proposed by this government? It doesn't. You know, where I come from, this is called putting the fox in charge of the henhouse. You've got people who are making decisions without having the proper review. What has that got to do with jobs, growth, and prosperity? It's got to do with the fact that you have power being consolidated with ministers at a level that's never been seen before when these agencies have been removed. We can debate whether the Auditor General made this decision, moved it forward, or whether or not the situation was that the minister decided they wanted. Now, we've heard the backlog of immigration, and and the stories that were told by the member from Newton North Delta as she joined us here, well, that person in her committee would have been able to make compelling arguments against this legislation.
Mr. Marston, we're at a 5-minute time limit here, and you're at about 5 now.
Okay.
And I'm really allowing you a lot of latitude on relevance.
Well, you've always been very generous to me.
I mean, we are discussing a short title, so
well,
I think you're making overall arguments about the bill.
From my perspective, I was making overall arguments about the fact that that doesn't belong.
But you think the short title should be expanded to include all of these? Maybe?
Well, the title should have been different because we have a bill that's dealing with the environment, with employment insurance, dealing with a number of different things that are not budgetary in nature, and we're talking about jobs and growth and prosperity. Okay. We don't see that link.
I think we're stretching my generosity to its limit here. So,
I actually have 2 paragraphs to go.
Well, we're at 5 minutes, so.
Well, if I'm at the mercy of the chair.
I mean, there will be debate in the House on this, and there will be public debate.
I will look forward to the debate in the House. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Marston.